Ancient technology or biblical truth? The case for Noah's Ark. Imagine stumbling across a massive ancient wooden vessel high in the mountains of Turkey. A ship that matches the exact dimensions described in the Bible thousands of years ago. This isn't just any hypothetical discovery, it's what dozens of explorers claim to have witnessed over centuries while searching for Noah's Ark. The implications would be earth-shattering, physical proof that one of history's most famous biblical accounts actually happened. Be sure to stay posted to the end of the video as we reveal the science behind finding the truth behind Noah's Ark. The biblical specifications are precise. According to Genesis, God instructed Noah to build an ark 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high, roughly 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet high. That's larger than a football field and as tall as a 4-story building, constructed from gopher wood and sealed with pitch. If such a massive structure survived the flood, wouldn't someone have found it by now? Mount Ararat in eastern Turkey has long been considered the prime location in this high-stakes archaeological treasure hunt. Standing at 16,854 feet, this dormant volcano lies near Turkey's borders with Armenia, Iran, and Azerbaijan, a geopolitically complex region that has made exploration challenging, if not dangerous, throughout modern history. But Ararat isn't the only candidate. The mountains of Ararat mentioned in Genesis could refer to a broader region, leading some researchers to focus on nearby sites like Dur-Pinar, a boat-shaped formation discovered in 1959 on Mount Judi, mentioned in the Quran as the Ark's final resting place. The historical record of Ark sightings is surprisingly extensive. As early as 275 BC, Berossus, a Babylonian priest, wrote about people scraping pitch off the Ark for amulets. In the 1st century, Jewish historian Josephus claimed the remains were still visible in his time. Marco Polo mentioned the Ark in his travels, writing that it was perpetually visible on a mountain in Armenia, except when covered by snow. Perhaps the most tantalizing claims came from the 20th century. In 1916, Russian aviator Vladimir Roskovitsky allegedly spotted a boat-shaped object while flying over Ararat during World War I. His report supposedly prompted Tsar Nicholas II to send an expedition that photographed and measured the vessel before the Russian Revolution halted further investigation. These photos and documents have conveniently disappeared, if they ever existed at all. Then there's George Hagopian, an Armenian who claimed that as a boy in 1908, his uncle took him up Ararat where they discovered a massive wooden structure protruding from a glacier. Hagopian even claimed to have climbed on the Ark and walked its roof. Though he passed a polygraph test regarding his story in the 1970s, no physical evidence supported his claims. In the satellite age, the mystery has only deepened. In 1949, a US spy plane reportedly captured images of a boat-shaped object on Ararat. The CIA has allegedly classified numerous satellite images of the mountain, fueling conspiracy theories about government cover-ups of the greatest archaeological discovery in history. Modern satellite technology has revealed several anomalous formations on and around Mount Ararat, including the famous Ararat anomaly, a dark spot on the northwest face that has tantalized Ark hunters for decades. These mysteries have inspired countless expeditions into some of the world's most forbidding terrain. But is there any substance behind the legends and claims? Or is this simply the ultimate wild goose chase? The modern era of Ark hunting began in earnest with French industrialist Fernand Navarre's expedition in the 1950s. After several attempts, Navarre claimed success in 1955 when he extracted a 5-foot wooden beam from a crevice high on Mount Ararat. Laboratory tests initially dated the wood to around 5,000 years ago, surprisingly close to the biblical time frame. However, later carbon dating at multiple facilities placed the wood at only 1,200 to 1,700 years old, suggesting it was medieval lumber, possibly from an ancient monastery rather than an antediluvian vessel. This pattern, initial excitement followed by scientific skepticism, has characterized virtually every major Ark claim. In 1960, the Search Foundation, led by explorer Errol Cummings, mounted a major expedition but returned with only photographs of alleged hand-tooled timber embedded in ice. Throughout the 1970s and 80s, former NASA consultant James Irwin, who had walked on the moon as part of Apollo 15, led multiple high-profile expeditions to Ararat. Despite his technical expertise and resources, Irwin never found conclusive evidence before his death in 1991. Perhaps the most controversial site isn't on Mount Ararat at all, but 15 miles away at Durapanar, where a boat-shaped formation in the mountains was discovered after an earthquake in 1948. In 1985, Ron Wyatt and David Fassold conducted tests at the site using ground-penetrating radar and claimed to find a regular pattern of ribs corresponding to the internal structure of a massive ship. Their work gained prominence when featured in a CBS special, The Incredible Discovery of Noah's Ark, which was later revealed to contain fabricated testimony. More scientifically rigorous investigations have offered alternative explanations for the Durapanar formation, suggesting it's a natural geological feature called a syncline, where layers of earth have folded into a boat-like shape. Yet, advocates maintain that the formation's dimensions match the biblical proportions of the ark too perfectly to be coincidence. Now guys, before moving on, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give us a thumbs up if you haven't already. Make sure to hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our weekly videos. The evidence claimed by ark hunters extends beyond wood samples. Alleged drogue stones, large anchor stones with crosses carved into them, have been found near Mount Judi. Proponents claim these were used to stabilize the ark during the flood, while archaeologists counter that they were likely boundary markers from medieval Christian communities. The search continues today with organizations like Noah's Ark Ministries International, NAMI, which in 2010 claimed to have found wooden compartments at 13,000 feet on Ararat, though they've been criticized for not allowing independent verification. In 2021, researchers using 3D scans and ground-penetrating radar at Durapanar claimed to detect regular patterns suggesting a man-made structure beneath the surface. What makes these searches so challenging is the perfect storm of complications: extreme altitude, harsh weather, political tensions, and restricted military zones. Turkey requires special permits for Ararat expeditions, which are frequently denied. Some ark hunters claim this is deliberate obstruction. Critics say it merely reflects the geopolitical realities of a sensitive border region. The most persistent conspiracy theory suggests that various governments have already found the ark, but are suppressing the discovery. This narrative gained traction with the publication of The Lost Ship of Noah by Charles Berlitz, who also popularized theories about the Bermuda Triangle. Yet, without tangible evidence, these theories remain in the realm of speculation. When we strip away the legends and conspiracy theories, what does science actually tell us about the possibility of Noah's Ark? While a global flood covering even the highest mountains presents insurmountable geological problems, there is compelling evidence for catastrophic regional flooding. Around 5,600 BCE, the Mediterranean Sea breached the Bosphorus Strait, causing the Black Sea to rise dramatically and flood thousands of square miles of inhabited land. Some scholars, including geologists William Ryan and Walter Pittman, suggest this event could have inspired the flood narratives that appear across Middle Eastern cultures. The numerous flood myths worldwide, from the Epic of Gilgamesh to indigenous traditions, share striking similarities. These commonalities suggest either cultural diffusion or, more intriguingly, multiple communities preserving memories of real flooding events through oral traditions that evolved into religious narratives. The biblical account may represent one culture's interpretation of an actual environmental catastrophe, embellished through generations of storytelling before being written down. What about physical evidence presented by ark hunters? When subjected to rigorous scientific analysis, most findings fall short. Wood samples either date to periods far too recent or can be explained by human activity on the mountain over centuries. Satellite anomalies that look promising often turn out to be shadow effects or natural formations when examined up close. The boat-shaped Durupinnar site, while compelling from aerial photographs, has geological explanations that don't require a massive ancient vessel. And yet, for all that, the Ark search continues to captivate imaginations because it represents something profound: the possibility of tangible proof for a foundational religious text. If verified, Noah's Ark would constitute the most significant archaeological discovery in history, potentially transforming our understanding of ancient history and challenging secular worldviews. The stakes couldn't be higher. The search also reveals how confirmation bias shapes our evaluation of evidence. Believers often view ambiguous findings, a piece of old wood, an unusual formation, as confirmation of what they already believe, while dismissing contradictory evidence. Skeptics do the opposite, perhaps too readily dismissing unusual evidence that doesn't fit conventional explanations. Both approaches can miss important nuances. History is full of once-dismissed legends that turned out to have historical foundations. Heinrich Schliemann discovered Troy by taking Homer's Iliad seriously when most scholars considered it pure myth. The ancient city of Helike, swallowed by the sea according to Greek legend, was discovered in 2001 after centuries of dismissal as folklore. These precedents suggest caution before dismissing ancient narratives entirely. What would constitute definitive proof of Noah's Ark? Most archaeologists agree we would need a massive wooden structure at high altitude, carbon dated to approximately 4,500 years ago, with evidence of animal habitation and construction techniques consistent with the ancient Near East. The structure would need to match biblical dimensions and contain artifacts identifiable with the culture and time period of Noah. So far, nothing approaching this standard has emerged. Whether Noah's Ark exists physically or exists only as a powerful cultural narrative, the search itself reveals something important about human nature. Our persistent desire to bridge the gap between faith and evidence, between ancient wisdom and modern knowledge. Perhaps that quest, rather than any wooden remains on a mountaintop, is the true legacy of the Ark story. And that's it for this episode. Do you think governments might be deliberately hiding evidence of Noah's Ark to prevent religious upheaval in our increasingly secular world? Or is it more likely that no evidence exists because the story was never meant to be taken literally? Let me know what you think in the comments below, and be sure to check out the next videos on our end screens coming up now.